Hello, my name is Becca Roses, and I'm the founder and CEO of Mind Body Genes. I wanted to show you a little peek behind the curtain, aka what do you get when you do a Mind Body Genes genetic blueprint? So, this is our secure app and our client portal where you get access to your unique genetics. And I say unique because everyone is different. That's why you're here wanting to do this thing. So I'm going to click in to what these actually look like to show you the value of what you're getting because I know investing in your health is something that is important, but also scary sometimes because you've probably invested in a lot of testing at this point and you are like, what is different about this? So, just peeking into our nutrition panels, you get a look at what this looks like for you. And yes, you have access to this, including all of your coach's notes and your wellness guide that will get created for you after you do the Mind Body Genes blueprint. So, as you can see, you have these specific gauges which show you your results from your genetic SNPs when it comes to leptin propensity, snacking and emotional eating, appetite and fullness. These are the three main categories that we look at for your satiety cues, and this can tell how your body is wired for hunger and fullness. When you look down here, you see your genetic summary. Now, don't worry, you don't have to memorize any of this because your coach is highly trained on how to interpret these SNPs for you and how to get this information in a way that is digestible for you. When you look at protein, same thing here. We look at how beneficial is protein for you. This is basically like getting the cheat codes to your body when it comes to the specific macronutrients that your body needs. So no more diet confusion, no more walking around figuring out if somebody on Instagram that had success with a certain diet is telling you the truth because it all comes down to your unique biology. Saturated fat response, your ApoE status. This is actually a really important factor for age-related conditions, which we show you and tell you all about what it means if you do get a result that is less than desirable, how you actually work with that and your unique biology. Omega fatty acids. You get to look at carbohydrates and glucose, which is probably my favorite panel in the nutrition because this will actually tell you, does low carb work for you or do you need to prioritize complex carbohydrates? Because let's be honest, everybody is saying something these days about carbs, and it's really good to be able to cut through all the noise. You get to see how glucose metabolism is, caffeine effects on glucose, and your insulin resistance propensity. Food sensitivities is a close second for me as far as favorite panels go, because not only do you get your risks for gluten and dairy, and you can finally tune out the people that say that you have to be gluten-free and dairy-free, unless that, of course, is your unique genetics. But you also get to look at how your body processes grains through what we call our GAD1 activity, which is all figured out through your specific GAD1 genes. It tells you how you process this, which can translate to neurotransmitter imbalance, poor sleep, gut imbalance, leaky gut, and brain fog if your GAD genes are more sensitive. So that's all things that you learn through your genetic blueprint. How your body handles plant cholesterols and your unique histamine response, which is a really big topic these days. So it's all about getting the information for you. In addition to nutrition, in your unique Mind Body Genes blueprint, you also get your micronutrient panels. So think the same things we just talked about. You click into all these panels and you learn how your body not only utilizes these micronutrients, but how you convert a lot of them. And conversion is key when it comes to figuring out and actually outlining what supplements are right for you. So this is where we get really granular into what supplements we should actually be on and be spending our money on, because we don't want to be throwing our money down the drain. And then when it comes to your sleep genetics, you learn exactly how you're wired for sleep. In fact, how caffeine affects your sleep movement genes, your risk towards sleeplessness and insomnia, your risk towards narcoleptic behaviors, which is really interesting. And then we can look at your toxicants and inflammation, which is another favorite of mine, because what's really confusing these days is the amount of detoxes that people are trying to sell online. And let me tell you, unless they know your specific phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 detoxification pathways, there's no way to know whether a detox is going to work for you. So here we peel back the layers and find out not only how sensitive you are to certain environmental compounds, which is life-changing, because let's be honest, we don't want to focus on every single non-toxic swap, right? We want to be able to focus on what the right priorities are for us and our specific families and not just do everything. That is very costly and can add up to a lot of unnecessary swaps if you're not actually sensitive to that thing. Mold severity and metabolism. We look at your alcohol genetics, not only how you metabolize, but your risk towards abuse and addiction. as well as your inflammation risk. And also, I'd like to say, don't worry if you get anything that's quote unquote scary in the report. We always break it down in a way that makes sense for you. Even if you get a result that you're like, ooh, I don't like that, we will tell you how to work with it to upregulate your genes. How you process elements and heavy metals, which is fantastic. Your phase one detoxification system, which again is how you process that first line of defense against toxins. And then we look at a really important panel, which is your phase two. And phase two is where you can really have a big impact on how your body processes, but also eliminates inflammation. Because when we have SNPs in these areas and below average or decreased or low activity in a lot of these spots, we can really start to see downstream effects on our health. So this is where we get very granular and personalized on what actually works for you in terms of detoxification and inflammation fighting. Most people are coming to Mind Body Genes because they want to optimize their health, but they also have things they want to improve. They want to reduce inflammation, they want more energy, they want to be able to age better, they want their hormones to be balanced, and this is where we can really dig deep and learn how to do that for you instead of following the blanket advice that is out there on the internet. Speaking of hormones, let's take a quick peek into that. As you can see, there's way more to this particular report too, but I want to click into hormones and also exercise so you can see the full picture. So hormones, we get a good baseline report on how your genetics are wired. So if you are somebody that's entering into perimenopause or menopause, or you are dealing with hormonal symptoms in any stage of your life, getting your genetics is a game changer for so many reasons, but specifically when it comes to hormones. I know that my personal story involves a ton of hormone health stuff, and I was throwing spaghetti at the wall for years to see what would stick when it came to my health with multiple different providers. And until I found my genes, I wasn't able to actually get to the bottom of what was going on. This is true root cause wellness because you're able to see how your body is wired from your genetic SNPs all the way up and what's going on with your lived experience and your actual health, your actual life, and actually things that matter to you. So we look at all your hormone levels. We look at your genetic levels, how you're wired, what your propensities are, and then we can get really granular as to what strategies might work for you so that you can kind of prevent a lot of these things that people deal with later in life. And don't worry if you feel like you're coming to this later and you already missed the boat, there is no wrong time to do this. Even if you are struggling and you feel like this is not a preventative measure and it's more of a, you need to correct some things, it can do that too. You can do it from a prevention lens, and you can also do it from a correction lens. That's the beauty of the genetics is we make sure that with your intake form and everything that you tell us about your life, that we translate this into a way that makes sense for what you currently have going on so that you know how to implement it into your life. And then exercise genetics are so fantastic. We not only learn how you are wired for strength and muscle building, but you get recovery SNPs, you get injury results, and you also learn what kind of athlete you are, what kind of exercises are right for you. And don't worry, we break this down for you to tell you exactly what exercises will be the most beneficial and also most enjoyable for you, depending on your results. But you also get to look at your aerobic training benefits, your VO2 max. So as you can see, just by clicking through in this very short demo, you get to learn a lot about how your body is wired. When it comes to longevity genes, we have a longevity panel that has been tailored for people that really want to learn about some of these longevity tools, their longevity markers, their mitochondria health. These two are completely different, but they are really fantastic depending on your goals. So whether you start with the Mind Body Genes Blueprint and you get your foundational lifestyle bundles, or you add on the Age Like a Badass and learn about your longevity genes, you never have to repeat this test. It's one swab in our test kit, send into the lab, and then you are done. It takes a few weeks for your results to process. If you ever want to add on any panels in the future, you can without having to reswab. So you do not have to retake this test. It is the reason why the investment is a little bit more than traditional testing because it is one and done. So if you have any questions, please feel free to book a free consultation call so you can look deeper into the panels and ask any questions that you might have specifically. But I hope you enjoyed that demo and have a wonderful day.